deadly tornadoes tear through Oklahoma, from inside the OU storm shelters to stories of survival at OBU, and the homes and business owners who are trying to pick up the pieces. We're live with team coverage. This is OU Nightly.
Oh, look at that.
OU Nightly students capture the storms and tell the stories of those who survived them.
You don't know where to go. You don't know what to do.
Yeah, you're just lost.
Thanks for watching OU Nightly. I'm Bailey Coyle.
And I'm Carolynn. Tonight, parts of central Oklahoma are under a state of emergency after deadly storms last night.
And at least 8 tornadoes are confirmed by the National Weather Service, one of the worst hit areas in Coyle, Oklahoma. 3 people died there last night.
And that is also where OU Nightly's Syndey Wallace begins our team coverage.
3 people have been reported dead after a devastating tornado blew through Oklahoma last night. Oklahoma Highway Patrol, McLean County Sheriff's Department, and other Oklahoma organizations are doing another round of searches to ensure no one else is trapped in storm shelters.
We want to make sure that everyone is accounted for, and until we can say 100% that everyone is accounted for, we're not going to stop those grid searches.
OHP also says the responses statewide from many different organizations have been reassuring during this terrible time, and the number of people without power is under 500.
And it's moving very quickly. As soon as they fix one piece of equipment, that's literally fixes 100 customers.
Governor Kevin Stitt expresses his remorse for the community while looking at the damage the tornado has done.
So, we're now getting resources in. We're doing cleanup. The Oklahoma Standard is strong and in force, and we're helping our neighbors right now.
Roads are being cleared and people are working together to rebuild. Reconstruction has already begun. As you can see behind me, power lines are already being restored. Tractors and trailers are moving debris and sheet metal out from homes and farms. Reporting in Coyle, Oklahoma, Syndey Wallace, OU Nightly.
Thanks, Syndey. Governor Stitt's emergency declaration covers Cleveland, McLean, Lincoln, Oklahoma, and Pottawatomie counties. It allows for emergency relief supplies to get into and around the state easier. And the people in those communities sure do need that help.
Like one family we met in McLean County, OU Nightly's reporter Olivia Dague continues our coverage from Coyle.
Here in Coyle, Oklahoma, a small community of around 600 residents, many homes were destroyed like the one right behind me, and we spoke to those homeowners who were just absolutely devastated.
I know what saved us, it was the Lord. I mean, there's no other explanation. I have absolutely no other explanation. I thought that we were going to die.
Terrifying moments inside an above-ground shelter as the Bridwell family prayed together. But what happens after, when you open the shelter door?
First thing I can do is shut the door back because I didn't want them. I wasn't ready for my family to come out and see.
For Larry and Robbie, it leaves them speechless.
You don't know where to go. You don't know what to do.
Yeah, you're just lost.
Where's your life going to take you? Because everything you've ever worked for
is here and gone.
It's gone.
Left with no choice but to gather what's salvageable. Everything they own is in these piles.
You don't have a bed. That's what we have.
But within tragedy comes friends, family, and faith.
We had nothing. We have had nothing but the shoes we had on. We had no clothes. We had a toothbrush, the things you don't think that you need, but they immediately brought those to us.
The days moving forward for the Bridwells are uncertain.
Where are we gonna live? What are we gonna do?
But they're thankful.
We'll figure it out. I mean, we're here, and that's what matters. We're here.
In Coyle, we're still seeing the Oklahoma Standard as dozens of community members, members of churches, and the Salvation Army are coming here to help people pick up the pieces. Reporting in Coyle, Oklahoma, Olivia Dague, OU Nightly.
It's absolutely devastating. Well, if you're wanting to help the people in Coyle, you can take donations to the Washington High School. OU Nightly's weather team was actually on the air warning people across central Oklahoma about the storms last night.
And we want to turn to our meteorologist again right now. Eli Millard has an inside look at some of those tornadoes. Eli.
Yeah, last night the largest collegiate weather team in the country was on it. We were on for about 3 hours or so. But here, looking at our tornado reports, the National Weather Service has 8 reported tornadoes, but I wouldn't be surprised if this number even jumped to 10 or maybe 12 tornadoes. Our strongest tornado really down being in Coyle, Oklahoma. And then as the storms supercell trade off to the northeast, it really dropped about 6 tornadoes. It was going up and down, and another strong tornado out in Shawnee. Well, that storm system that was here last night, it's off towards our southeast. We actually had a tornado warning just southeast of McAllister earlier today, but it's off towards the east, and it's still producing severe weather. This is actually that Coyle tornado, the picture from a trained sword spotter. A strong wedge tornado. Look at it kicking up all that debris here, down here. And then another angle of it, it's a pretty wide tornado as well, hanging out here. But our weather headlines we're going to recap the entire event for you coming up in main weather. And then we also have a fire danger risk. A lot of people in Oklahoma did not see rain yesterday, so there still is a risk for fire weather. And then going into this weekend, a much cooler weekend, even some parts of Oklahoma may be seeing a freeze. Ladies, back to you.
Nightly crews were some first on scene at OBU last night. Michael Buchanan talked with some of them about what they plan to do now.
Students here at OBU thought it would be a normal Wednesday night, studying for finals, hanging out with friends, making dinner. That was all before disaster struck.
And they were like, y'all need to go to the shelter now.
Oklahoma Baptist University students took shelter across campus wherever they could, and when they emerged, what they saw shocked them.
It looked like a zombie movie because it was still light outside from all of the police and fire department coming in.
6 different organizations showed up to campus this morning ready to lend a helping hand. Students living in damaged storms are being relocated for the time being, but continue to exude the bison spirit, ready to help wherever they can.
To try and meet a need, and the need is, quite simply, the worst natural disaster in the history of Oklahoma Baptist University. That's 113 years.
President Thomas is proud of his alma mater and its students for pitching in during this difficult time.
And so they see Bison Hill in trouble and need of help. They want to join in.
Now, the university has said that classes will be canceled for the remainder of this week, but students don't know what the rest of the semester holds. Reporting in Shawnee, Michael Buchanan, OU Nightly.
Michael, you can donate directly to the OBU campus. Check out their social media to learn how. We also know the Attorney General has put an emergency price gouging order into effort. It prohibits an increase of more than 10% for goods and services needed by those recovering from the storms.
And one Oklahoma church is helping the community clean up debris from the tornado and is offering a warm meal to help boost spirits. Catherine Liberta continues that live coverage from Shawnee. What is that like, Catherine?
Yes, here at Oklahoma Baptist University, there was lots of cleanup today, but there was one group that brought a tasty treat to those volunteers and the community.
Yeah. Free hot dogs!
As cleanup crews remove debris from the campus of Oklahoma Baptist University, a local church is cooking because they care.
You know, instead of showing up with chainsaws, we show up with grills and cook and help people that way.
Victory Family Church showed up to provide free food and water to those around the Shawnee community and volunteers who are cleaning up.
A lot of the workers are really thankful just to be able to come grab a bite to eat and, realize that it's free. So.
And whether people walk up or drive up, the church has had lots of help to provide them with food.
Yeah, so the grill belongs to someone in our church. The hot dogs, we went to Homeland to buy them and they donated them. So they donated, I think, the water and the hot dogs, and then we purchased the buns and the condiments and stuff like that. So kind of a mix of donation and purchasing.
And that mix of donations and their own purchasing shows how this community is responding to last night.
It's been really cool to see the amount of people that need help feels big, but the amount of people willing to help is a lot larger, which is just a cool thing about a town like Shawnee.
Now, Victory Family Church says that they will be here until they are needed no more. Reporting from Shawnee, Oklahoma, I'm Catherine Liberta, OU Nightly.
Thanks, Catherine. It's so heartwarming to see a community come together during such hard times. Well, that tornado that swept through Shawnee, knocking over power lines and damaging homes, especially in one neighborhood. OU Nightly reporter Carolynn Vargas visited one of the hardest hit areas in Shawnee.
Power lines covering the roads, fences swept away, houses in shambles. This is the aftermath of the Shawnee tornado.
It is sad in the now right now because it's like everyone's picking up their lives.
I'm out here at a Shawnee neighborhood where the situation is just devastating. There's trees on top of cars, fences are gone, roofs are gone. You can see behind me the garage is absolutely caved in. A lot of emotions were felt following the tornado.
I mean, just tears. I broke down.
We're pretty concerned when we heard of it.
Venecia is a first-time homeowner, and her home got some of the worst damages of the entire neighborhood.
The roof behind me is just completely ripped apart. Thankfully, nothing inside is damaged, but we're going to be out without electricity for a few days.
But the community itself is coming together as one.
It's been pretty amazing watching, like whenever I first came back home this morning, so many cars of different family members like helping out their family. We even have my 2-year-old nephew out here picking up trash.
Shawnee continues to stand strong even after being knocked down. Carolynn Vargas, OU Nightly.
Thanks, Carly. If your home isn't insured already, the Oklahoma Insurance Commission recommends doing so in case of situations like these.
And along with houses being damaged, a popular mall also took a hard hit in Shawnee. OU Nightly's Toyebo went out and surveyed the damage left behind from the storm.
Shawnee Mall was left absolutely devastated after the tornado rolled through town. One woman witnessed the storm approaching but could not move to safety.
Because I'm out of gas. I don't know what I'm supposed to do, but yeah, I wanted to get out last night before the storm, or as the storm was coming, I guess. But I didn't know how quickly it was going to get here.
Robinson is still stuck, unable to find any gas station with power.
I came from Meeker, which is, I don't know, about 6 miles that way probably, quite a bit. And everybody is out of power, so I'm not able to get gas. So at the moment, I'm currently stranded here at the Shawnee Mall.
There's a piece of debris behind me. It's just, it's really not a very good scene. Lots of debris, lots of damage everywhere. I've never seen anything like it.
I would love to go back to work because, you know, I got bills to pay, I got rents due, and, you know, I like my job. So I would like to get back to work just because I need to make some money.
Like many survivors around him, he feels lost and confused.
Just for the overall, just good part of my day, you know, just the routine. I feel like I just feel like I'm like kind of lost right now. I feel like I should be at work right now.
The Shawnee Mall and the people that it impacts are struggling, but vow they will bounce back. Toyebo, OU Nightly.
The Shawnee Mall hopes to open again soon, but they aren't quite sure when that will be.
And in Pink, Oklahoma, a dream home in the making destroyed in minutes. OU Nightly reporter Victoria Anderson talked to the family in Pink.
In Pink, Oklahoma, a dream home 10 years in the making, taken apart by last night's tornado touchdown. Today, the family starts to rebuild. For the Lindsay family, their property was more than just a home, a place for grandkids, laughter, and fond memories. A promise of a future swept away by the wind.
And it's where my husband and I want to retire. And we were building it like we wanted it and doing all the work ourselves.
Goats, chickens, and bees cover over 20 acres of property, all now without a home.
It's gone. It seems like it's gone, but there's, you know, I guess still just the essence of it.
The family says the dream is not over, with hopes of passing the property down to future generations.
We're going to have to work fast now.
And that work begins today. Victoria Anderson, OU Nightly.
Such a heartbreaking story. The family says insurance is only able to cover the damage caused, but will need help with debris removal, and they are currently working on a GoFundMe.
Now we want to take a quick look at some other stories making headlines today. The Oklahoma Court of Appeals is upholding the murder conviction of death row inmate Richard Glossop. Spencer Plato has that and more headlines from the News Center. Spencer.
The Court of Criminal Appeals denied Richard Glossop's request for a new trial and stay of execution. The court says his case has been thoroughly investigated and reviewed, but has not provided the court with sufficient information to overturn the jury. Glossip was convicted back in 1997 for murdering the owner of a motel in Oklahoma City that he managed. Glossip is scheduled for execution on May 18th. SpaceX Starship exploded today after launching off in South Padre, Texas. Today's launch was the first flight test of the rocket, but exploded about 2.5 minutes after its takeoff. The Starship had several engine failures as it was meant to propel to orbital speeds. SpaceX says the team is reviewing data and working towards the next flight test. Additional troops and equipment are being sent by the Pentagon to a naval base in Djibouti. This comes as preparations of a possible evacuation of U.S. Embassy personnel from Sudan. The Biden administration says these deployments are necessary because of fighting against two warring factions. A statement from the Pentagon says it will deploy to the region to help with the evacuation if required. And 2 more arrests were made today in connection to the shooting at a Sweet 16 birthday party in Alabama, raising the total number of people charged to 5. Back to the desk.
Thanks, Spencer. When we return, we'll take our team coverage to campus where students sheltered yet again from another tornado warning.
We have their reactions after the break.
And the CDC is updating COVID-19 guidelines once again.
Those changes and who it will affect coming up.
Welcome back to OU Nightly. Devastating storms in Cleveland County last night threatening the OU campus.
Students took shelter waiting for the all clear. OU Nightly's Dana Searles spoke with the students about their experience.
Thunder strikes, sirens sound, and roads flood. University of Oklahoma students take shelter as the campus experiences a second tornado warning this semester.
Well, I'm from Oklahoma, so when I got the first alert, I kind of wasn't worried about it. But then recently, after getting the second tornado alert, that's when I started to come down to the storm shelter.
It's definitely the residents' choice if they want to stay or leave, so we can't necessarily force them to stay here, but we just tell them to stay alert and stay aware.
The couch storm shelters filling up as the alerts and warnings on campus continue to be sent out.
Definitely last time it was a lot more alarming, so there was a lot more of an influx of people. This time it's kind of just back and forth.
I mean, yeah, I was kind of glancing at the weather today, saying there was going to be a watch, and I'm like, oh, okay, nothing new during tornado season.
And with this being the second severe weather experience for students this semester, some are having different reactions.
It just kind of gets you in the tornado feeling. The first one just kind of tells you that it's tornado season starting. So kind of used to it now, and we're only mid-April, so it's just getting started.
Although campus was not hit significantly, student or resident advisors want to make sure that students always have their alerts switched on and to stay updated.
Update from the CDC to COVID-19 booster guidelines. Snowforth has more on that story in today's Health Beat. Snow.
Yeah, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention is updating its recommendations for COVID-19 booster shots. Now, people who are 65 and older, have weakened immune systems, or just want the added protection against the virus are allowed another dose. The change aligns with the U.S. Food and Drug Association's recently updated guidelines. And the Supreme Court is temporarily extending access to an abortion drug. The court was to rule by 11:59 p.m. yesterday on the imposed restriction of mifepristone, a widely used abortion drug used to end pregnancies. However, Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito moved the deadline to this Friday to allow the court more time to consider the issue. And if your throat has been hurting, strep infections are on the rise, according to new analysis. And the surge is happening amid a shortage of liquid amoxicillin, an antibiotic commonly used to treat strep. Cases of the infection were up 30% this February compared to the same time in 2017. The CDC says the strep is most common in children ages 5 to 15. But to protect yourself from catching strep, wash your hands often, cover your mouth, and don't share personal items. Back to the desk.
Thanks, Snow. And when we return to OU Nightly, meteorologist Eli Millard dives back into the storms.
Eli, what do we know so far?
Well, yeah, you're looking at here on campus, but we'll talk about that tornado damage, and I'll recap the entire event from start to finish for you here coming up.
Our team coverage continues now in Shawnee, where students just like us are picking up the pieces after a tornado tore across their campus. OU Nightly's Dana Searles is live on the campus of Oklahoma Baptist University. Dana, they rode out the storm in a chapel?
Thank you, Carolyn. Yeah, a very scary sight to see last night for Oklahoma Baptist University students. Last night, they were all forced to shelter in a chapel, in their dorms, and in low buildings, and a dorm here was even significantly affected. I came out here to talk to students who were sheltering last night and hear about their experiences throughout the storm. Students at the campus of Oklahoma Baptist University were in the path of last night's tornado, sending many students to shelter from the storm.
I had to slip on some new shoes real quick, and we got the actual thing that we had to leave and go take shelter. And you know, we headed over there, and then within like maybe 30 minutes to an hour, we were trying to get into more shelter and deeper shelter within Raleigh.
They emailed us and said, pretty much be there by 8:50, be here. Well, it was 8:49 when we got that. So we grabbed our bags, ran to the car, and then we had to drive here.
At first, students thought it was just another warning that would pass.
I think at first I was pretty calm, but then like as the wall started shaking and everyone's just kind of getting more nervous, it was pretty scary.
But once they heard the tornado was right over them, it was like something they have never experienced before.
We were kind of just sitting there like, well, I don't know if it's gonna hit us. And then when our ears started popping, it was like instant fear, and like you heard people crying, and I was shaking and holding on to my friend, and yeah, it was pretty scary. Everybody was praying and crying, and yeah, then everybody was just texting you saying, like, stay hunkered down, it's right over you. Well, then we all like had our heads covered with like little mattresses almost, and our ears started like popping so bad, and we knew that it was over us and it was loud, and then the doors started swinging open in the basements.
While students were bracing themselves from the storm, others were separated from their friends, worrying about if they are safe.
I couldn't get a hold of her at all. Like, I was trying and I couldn't get a hold, and her whole family was calling me, and so it was a little stressful and scary too.
And now, students are facing the aftermath.
After it passed, we all looked at our cars. My car, the back windshield is shattered and scraped, and my roof is dented in, so it's almost probably totaled.
Now classes are online today and tomorrow for OBU, but when talking to students and some faculty on campus, many are worried that they won't be returned to in-person classes the rest of the semester, but it's still nothing confirmed. Reporting live, Dana Searles, OU Nightly.
Yeah, Shawnee certainly saw some significant damage, preliminary EF2 damage. Let's go ahead and take a look down in Coyle, Oklahoma. This is preliminary EF3 damage. This is quite a large home in southeast Coyle, Oklahoma, with the roof completely ripped off the top. Even the garage in the background, actually, it's what's so unpredictable about these storms. It remains untouched. And they had their barn as well. Those strong winds did peel the roof back. And some trees out in their yard completely mangled. These things are all over the place, even back here, just completely destroyed, and debris all over the yard as well. But then going into more to the central part of the town, this building, this sheet metal is completely sprayed everywhere as well. And I mean, you see just straight to foundation is there as well. Now this home, the roof is completely gone. You can see people walking completely through it. And then just right next to it, the roof is still, I mean, relatively still intact, but people are still walking around. You can look directly down into the home. Out in front of it, not much left of the home itself. But let's go ahead and look at this tornado on video. Now, I'm going to let this loop right back through. This thing is pretty rain-wrapped at the time, but if you look right in here, right in there, you can see the tornado on the ground. I'm going to let this video loop one more time. Right here at the beginning, it's much more prominent. A strong and a large violent wedge tornado. This video is taken about 2 or 3 miles south of Coyle, and so that was what was going right through the center of the town. Now, This was before we even got a tornado warning as well. This one's much more faint. This is northwest of Chickasha. Not an official tornado, but if you really pay attention, like I said, I'm gonna let this video loop one more time, and you look at the ground, there is a little spin up down in this area that spins up right here. You see the bands rotating and just debris coming up the ground for just about 10 seconds or so. So that could have been the first tornado of the day, because like I said, this was not even warned at the time. We didn't even have a warning. This was just, like I said, northwest of Chickasha. But I'm going to take you through the entire event from start to finish. For the last couple weeks, been saying, the cap's in place, conditional. If we break the cap, storms will fire. Well, this is a prime example of what happens when the cap breaks. Down in southwestern Oklahoma, we had clouds recede, warm air come through in an unstable atmosphere. And about 4:30, storms started to initiate down here by Lawton, and then they start making their way towards Norman. And as we go on later into the day, they really strengthen. Up here in Moore, this storm had quite significant hail. And this was the storm that ended, the first initial storm that was tornado warned here. It's right here at the end of this loop. You can see it kind of take that hook shape right in here. Here we go. Right there, there's your tornado, your tornado warned. There was no tornado with this storm. But then later on into the day, we go drop to the southwestern storm. This was the big storm of the day. This was what produced almost all the tornadoes. So it's starting to develop a hook as well here. But what really happens is this storm off towards the west really merges with this storm as well. And two things can happen here. Either the storm dies or the storm significantly strengthens. And unfortunately, it was the latter of the two. These two storms combined and formed quite a strong rotation here. As you can see, it's really rotating. I'm going to let it root back through one more time. It's going to come in through like that. There we go. Just northwest of Chickasha. And then later, as we go later, it's going to continue to strengthen. And this is your classic supercell shape right here, wrapping. And then we have that second mesocyclone form here. And this is the Coyle storm. Watch it right here. Form on the southwest side of the storm, strengthen, and then go right into Coyle, right here. This is your preliminary EF3. Now looking at velocity here, this is red is wind going away from the radar, green is going towards the radar, and this right here is what we call a couplet. When you see the two colors together, this is where you see the two colors right here come together, and that's where your tornado is. But looking at your 7-day forecast, we're looking at 60s here on Friday, and then look at all the rain coming in next week. We're going to see quite a bit of rain here. But ladies, quite a crazy night last night, but the weather team was on it the entire time.
Yeah, it absolutely was really crazy last night. I'm glad that everyone is safe and all of us are okay.
Yeah, I know. I was definitely watching y'all last night. I was driving up to Oklahoma City, so grateful for y'all's work.
Truly did a wonderful job, seriously.
On an already difficult day for many Oklahomans, the 28th anniversary of the Oklahoma Memorial bombing became even harder yesterday when the tornadoes ripped through the state. The Oklahoma Disaster Services, along with the Red Cross, is working to create shelter and provide resources for those impacted by the storms.
Lloyd Gardner, a volunteer with Red Cross, says it is important to come together as a community.
It's really neighbor helping neighbor, which we've come to call the Oklahoma standard since the Murrah building bombing, of helping each other through a crisis such as this, even if you don't know the person.
In Noble County, the Red Cross is stationed at the high school field house. They are equipped with water, food, first aid, and cots. If you or someone you know was directly impacted by the storm struggling to cope, they can call 1-800-Red-Cross. And we'll be right back with OU Nightly Sports.
Hello, I'm Caleigh Jo Hommel, and it's time for sports. Porter Moser is adding to his basketball squad after more than a month of roster turnover. Today, Pitt transfer John Hughley announced he has committed to OU men's basketball. The junior forward averaged 8 points and almost 4 rebounds per game last season. Hughley joins Javion McCollum as Oklahoma's second transfer to the program for the upcoming season. Taking it back to those leaving Norman, Jalen Hill is returning home. The Las Vegas native announced on social media today he's committing to UNLV. Last season, Hill averaged a career best of nearly 10 points per game. Hill played 2 seasons for OU under Coach Lon Kruger, father of current UNLV head coach Kevin Kruger. On Wednesday, Oklahoma softball pitchers Alex Storako, Nicole May, and Jordy Ball were named finalists for USA Softball Collegiate Player of the Year. Their catcher, Kinsey Hansen, tells us why they're all deserving.
They're all different in their own way, and I think that's what makes them so special, is because you get one on the mound and it's this, and then there's just different dimensions of pitching that you kind of see when you're in the gear that nobody else really sees, so it's pretty cool.
Softball takes on the Baylor Bears this weekend, and another Sooner squad faces the same foe. 2-seed OU women's tennis is taking on the 7th seed Baylor in the first round of the Big 12 championships. First serve is at 12 p.m. The spring game is only 2 days away, and OU football is ready to show out. Notre Dame transfer defensive lineman Jacob Lacey is one of a number of new faces in Norman this offseason, and he likes what he sees so far with the Sooners.
It's first class in every part of his game, on the field, in the meeting room, when he calls you, 4 or 5 times a day. But you love it because it's stuff that helps you get better. It's not anything to discourage you. It's always something to make your game better. So I really appreciate that.
And over in the NBA, the Lakers tied their series with the Grizzlies last night. Former Sooner Austin Reeves posted 12 points for LA in the 103-93 loss. Reeves finished with 23 in the first game and looks to get back on track in Game 3. Bailey, Carolyn, back to you.
Thanks, Caleigh. Well, there are a variety of ways that you can help support the community after last night's severe weather.
Coming up next, find out what you can do to help make a difference in the community when OU Nightly returns.
I'm Becca Yanez at the OU Nightly Update Desk. North Korean hackers infiltrating a software firm that claims thousands of customers around the world in a cyber attack. The hack sent U.S. officials scrambling to determine how many American organizations might be affected. Bailey, Carolyn, back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Becca. Relief efforts are in full effect to help those impacted from the tornadoes last night.
Whether you want to donate time, money, or food, there are plenty of ways that you can help out.
There are multiple places looking for volunteers to help clean up debris or pass out food.
You can also donate money to the Salvation Army, the Regional Food Bank of Oklahoma, or a local church.
For more details and a full list of ways to help, visit the Oklahoman website.
Before we go, we're going to take one more look at weather.
Eli, what can we expect going forward?
Well, it's going to be a pretty rainy week coming up, but let's talk one more time at the tornado reports. We have 8 reported tornadoes here by the National Weather Service. And then also going into tonight, we do have a risk for fire weather. A lot of places didn't see rain. It's been about 200 plus days since Guyman's seen some rain. They're at high risk for fire danger. But like I said, for that 7-day forecast, we're looking at rain almost every day in the forecast. Ladies, back to you.
Well, thank you so much for that update, Eli. I'm Carolyn Felling, and thank you for watching OU Nightly.
And I'm Bailey Coyle. Be sure to tune into our show live weekdays at 4:30. Good night.